Welcome to this explainer. You know, if you've ever felt completely frustrated because you've studied English for years, but you still freeze up or make mistakes when you're actually talking to someone, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to dive right into the mechanics of free conversation. We're going to figure out how to stop memorizing those endless textbook rules and start recognizing the vital patterns that actually govern spoken English.
I absolutely love this quote from our source material. The goal is not to memorize rules, but to recognize the patterns. It's honestly a game changer. This approach empowers us to shift away from that rigid, stressful textbook studying and move toward natural, effortless fluency. Think about it. When you recognize a pattern, speaking becomes an automatic reflex, rather than some complicated math equation you're trying to solve in your head.
Now, this highlights a reality that trips up so many learners. Even advanced speakers collapse on the simplest words. The data from the Free Conversation Teacher Appendix actually reveals a pretty surprising truth about where we stumble the most. It is almost never the incredibly complex, high-level grammar that causes a communication breakdown. Nope. It's actually the high-frequency, everyday building blocks where the most common errors happen.
So to lower your cognitive load today, we've built a clean 4-step roadmap to cure those common conversational symptoms. The grammar of storytelling, connecting past to present, choosing the right verb, and perfecting the small details. Okay, let's jump straight into Section 1, the grammar of storytelling, keeping the past in the past. Picture this. You're telling a story about a finished time, right? Like what you did last weekend, or maybe a vacation you took 2 years ago. Have you ever found yourself slipping into the present tense halfway through that story? It's a remarkably frequent error. People start in the past simple. They'll say, we went to the restaurant, we ordered food, and then they accidentally switch gears to the present tense, saying, and the waiter brings out this huge cake, usually just to make the story feel more vivid and exciting.
Well, the reason we do this is because of something called L1 interference. This is literally when your brain tricks you by translating directly from the structural rules of your native language, your L1, into English. For example, Russian narrative often uses present forms to make past events sound really vivid and immediate. And that creates a psychological trap that causes these present for past slips when that speaker switches over to English.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it is definitely not, we drive around the city and everyone is happy when you're talking about yesterday. The correct pattern is, we drove around the city and everyone was happy. The absolutely crucial point here is that for a finished time, the past simple has to go all the way through the narrative. You can't let your brain jump tracks back to the present.
Oh, and while we're hanging out in the past tense, you really got to watch your irregulars and your agreement. It is incredibly common to hear people say we was, but it is absolutely we were. I, he, she, and it take was, but you, we, and they take were. Lock that pattern in and you're golden.
Moving right along to Section 2, connecting past to present. Unpacking the present perfect trap.
L1 interference strikes again here, tricking us into using the present tense for duration. She works here since 2019 makes perfect sense in a lot of native languages, but in English, you absolutely must use the present perfect. She has worked here since 2019.
If you map it out on a timeline, it makes total sense why we need the present perfect. The action stretches from a starting point in the past, like 2019, all the way through the years to the current moment. It connects the past to right now. Because it touches the present, the past simple isn't enough, and because it started in the past, the present simple isn't enough either.
Now, when we talk about that continuing timeline, you have to choose between using for and since. The pattern is actually super simple. You use for to describe the length or duration of that timeline, like for 3 months or 4 years, and you use since to pinpoint the exact starting block, since 2019 or since Monday.
The other major way we use the present perfect is to ask about someone's life experience up to now. You know the classic phrase, have you ever? Have you ever eaten sushi? Have you ever been to London? Notice the structure we're using. It's have or has, plus the past participle, like eaten or been. We aren't asking when it happened. We are asking if it has happened at any point in your entire life up to this very second. All right, Section 3. Choose the right verb, fixing the say versus tell collapse.
So here is the absolute highest frequency error from all the source data. The total collapse of the verbs say, tell, talk, and speak. Translating the all-purpose phrase say about directly from your native language simply does not work in English. You just cannot say I want to say about my trip. You have to choose I want to talk about my trip or I want to tell you about my trip.
The absolute easiest way to fix this confusion is by analyzing the structure, not the meaning. Look at the patterns. Tell needs a person right after it, tell you about my trip. Talk needs a preposition, talk about my trip. And here is a fun bonus one for you. Discuss takes no preposition at all. You just discuss the plan, not discuss about the plan. If you memorize the structural pattern, you'll eliminate a massive hurdle to your fluency.
And finally, Section 4, perfecting the small details. Articles and prepositions.
Let's clean up those tiny missing pieces that immediately signal whether someone is fluent or not. Because some languages have no article system at all, you have to consciously choose between adding a, the, or the zero article in English. It's a three-way choice. You can't just say, I work as designer. It must be, I work as a designer. And watch your word order, too. It is not the all boys, it's all the boys.
But conversely, be careful not to overcompensate and add the to a general idea. A really common error is saying, I love the music, when you're actually talking about the concept as a whole. If it's a general idea, drop the article entirely. Just say, I love music.
And what about prepositions? I mean, why in the world do we say we are interested in something, but we're good at something else? Case-driven calquing, which is just a fancy academic way of saying translating prepositions word for word from your native language, will absolutely fail you here. Prepositions almost never map perfectly from one language to another.
The secret to mastering prepositions is to treat them like a package deal. Stop trying to figure out the logic of why at goes with good. Instead, learn the vocabulary word and the preposition together as one single chunk. Interested in, good at, responsible for, at the weekend. When you learn them as pairs, your brain doesn't have to pause and search for the right connecting word mid-sentence. It's already there.
So, bringing it all together, this brings us back to our main takeaway from the teacher's appendix. Fixing these specific, high-frequency errors yields the highest return on investment for your fluency. Remember, the ultimate goal of recognizing these patterns isn't about passing some stuffy grammar test. It is about achieving effortless, free conversation where you can just be yourself and truly connect with people.
All right, let's wrap this up with a quick little test from the source data, just to keep your brain working. If a meal is cooked by a chef, what does a chief do? And are you glad for your friends, or are you happy for them? Keep asking these questions. Start recognizing the patterns in the world around you and use them to speak with absolute confidence. So, the real question is, are you going to keep translating word for word, or are you finally ready to embrace the patterns?